Coming up on Mountain News this morning, we'll take a look at some of the bills in the Kentucky Congress right now and how they might impact your future. Plus, we'll have tips on how you can prepare for the next round of snow.
Dedicated to Eastern and Southern Kentucky, this is WYMT Mountain News this morning.
Good morning, I'm Olivia Calfee. The time is 5:32 on January 18th. Now let's send it over to meteorologist Mace Michaels for a look at your forecast this morning.
Hey there, Olivia. We're looking at a cloudy sky for later on this afternoon. So if you see a little sunshine this morning, enjoy it while we have it. As you look here in Corbin, it is a cold day. Traffic moving along, no problems with at least weather. At 8 degrees, 18 in Hazard and 5 in Manchester. Jacksboro a little colder this morning, starting off in the single digits. Brr. Down in the single digits for a lot of these wind chill values as well. It feels like 5 in Manchester and even 1 this morning, waking up in Wise and Grundy. You're waking up to a 6-degree temperature. So we have some pockets here, to say the least, throughout the area this morning. The wind, though, thankfully isn't too strong. It's only a few miles an hour, so we don't have a real strong chill for the most part. The wind chill not really ending up being that strong for us. Up to the north and west, though, we have some snow showers to talk about. Areas of snow in a few areas, and this system will be sliding down over the next couple of days. That will bring up some concerns, at least through tonight and tomorrow, of snow. Winter weather advisories out for almost all of the area, and here even on into West Virginia. It is a winter storm warning, so we have a first alert weather day, which we will get into in full details coming up in a few minutes.
All right, Mace, thank you. And we could be getting close to the first votes on a new 2-year spending plan in the Kentucky House. Legislative leaders have unveiled their new budget. They say it spends record money in K-12 schools, but some say it falls short given the large budget reserve trust fund the state has. WYMT's Phil Pendleton has more on what House Republicans are proposing.
Much like what was done 2 years ago, House leaders say they want local districts to decide the amount of their teacher raises.
This is a way to let locals make decisions regarding their own local circumstances.
We've got to raise teacher pay.
Governor Beshear had proposed an across-the-board 11% raise for educators, and he pushed funding for preschool.
The House budget does not fund universal pre-K. It does not give 11% pay increases to our school employees. It does not fully fund transportation.
Mercer County gave their employees a nearly 10% raise 2 years ago. Superintendent Jason Boer says he appreciates the increases, but says the per pupil allocation of $4,300 the first year and $4,400 the second needs a bigger boost.
The inflation from 2008, 2009 up till now, it should be around $5,300 to $5,400. So there's still $1,000 short per pupil.
When you take into account all of the funding that goes into K-12, we're like way ahead of inflation.
The budget also allocates for 100 more social workers, 1,000 more Michelle P. waivers for the disabled to live more independently, and provides stipends for student teachers.
That's basically set up as $1,000 a month, and that's not going to equate to a certain living wage, but it's better than the zero that's mandated right now. So
we can go in and cherry pick some great things, but there's also a lot of bombs in there as well.
The House budget also sets up a student loan forgiveness program for teachers who stay and work in Kentucky. In Frankfort, Phil Pendleton, WYMT Mountain News.
The budget is more than 200 pages long and also includes raises for state troopers and enhances a body armor grant program. A Kentucky state lawmaker is filing an amendment to a bill on school choice. Representative Josh Calloway filed the amendment, which would change some language in the bill. It takes out a line talking about aid going to low-income families. As is, the bill would let voters decide whether the state can divert some public money to private schools. Calloway maintains the bill will empower families. Education advocates say it would only hurt public schools.
When we start
picking away pieces and dollars here and dollars there, it starts to take away from the effectiveness that we can have in ensuring that every student has every opportunity possible.
Parents are looking for options for their children, and sometimes it's a public school system, and sometimes it's not. And so we just want to make sure that they have the freedom and that they feel empowered to do what's best for their kids.
Lawmakers have not voted on the amendment or the bill itself. If passed, Kentuckians would vote on the issue in November. A bill that would move Kentucky's elections for governor, attorney general, and other statewide offices to coincide with presidential election years is a step closer to going to the voters. Yesterday, the Kentucky Senate passed Senate Bill 10, which would give those elected in 2027 a 5-year term, and the next statewide contest would be in 2032. The bill passed largely among party lines. Republicans say it would save the state money and improve voter participation. Those in opposition, mostly Democrats, say Kentucky would be deprived of discussing its own issues in off-year elections, as then it could be swept up in national political issues. If the amendment passes the House with at least 60 votes, it would go on the November ballot for voters to decide. One lawmaker is clarifying a newly filed bill. Williamsburg Representative Nick Wilson says an inadvertent change removed the reference to first cousins from Kentucky's incest law. Wilson filed House Bill 269 this week. That would change how the state law defines incest and includes sexual contact to the incest statute. In a statement made yesterday, Wilson said during the drafting process, first cousins was struck from the list of relationships included under the statute, and he failed to add it back. Wilson is withdrawing the original bill and filing a new one, which will include first cousins under the incest law. And tonight, more snow could be on the ground and making roads slick. WYMT's Madison Carmouche spoke to state police and transportation officials about how they are preparing for another round.
Crews with KYTC have used 1,100 tons of salt on the road since Saturday.
You know what we put down the past, 3 days, it should be good, you know. We got a lot of calcium and salt on the roads. They'll more likely freeze dry.
Officials with KSP say that regardless of what happens, their duty to protect and serve remains the same, but warns folks to keep in mind that snow and ice are dangerous for them too.
Inclement weather slows down our response time as well. So before people get out and travel, they need to make sure that they're prepared to shelter in place until we can get somebody to them.
More snowfall and freezing temperatures are predicted in the coming days, and that means road conditions may worsen.
Make sure the snow's off your vehicle good. I've met a lot of vehicles and people wouldn't have their vehicle swept off to where they could see good. You know, that's dangerous, especially when you're meeting a big snowplow.
With roads in better shape for now, many drivers may be less alert, but officials say now is not the time to speed up.
The problem with the black ice is it's not visible a lot of times, so you're on it before you know it. And again, that's where the speed comes into play. If you're going too fast, there's no corrections for that. So we want to keep our speeds low. And if you are in a skid, make sure that you're steering into the skid and trying to bring your car to a controlled stop.
Officials are cautioning folks once again to stay at home unless it is absolutely necessary to get out. In Hazard, Madison Carmouche, WYMT Mountain News.
State police say on snowy roads, you might pretend you were driving your grandmother to church with a bowl of soup beans. Take it slow and watch your turns. The city of Hazard has been working to revitalize downtown, trying to bring new businesses to the downtown area. City of Hazard downtown coordinator Bailey Richards says space is always going to be an issue in the city, but with the help of private investors, donors, and community members, they have seen a lot of growth during the last couple of years.
It's really exciting. It does mean that it makes it harder to find properties for people, but we still do it, and we want to get every single building full. We've got, those ones are still out there, and there's also a few individual units in those buildings that are maybe up for rent or things like that.
Richard says they have very few open buildings between downtown East Main Street and North Main Street. The old Jerry's Restaurant building is now occupied for the first time in more than 20 years. We have more about that new business on our website. And when we return, the nominations for this year's Songwriters Hall of Fame have been announced, and they include some all-time classics.
Winter weather advisories out for the areas we look into tonight. We'll talk about our first alert weather day and how much snow we may see here coming up.